Hi there everybody, Shauna Killian from Instagram's Shaliki84 here. And I know I haven't done a video in such a long time, but a lot of you have been asking for a tutorial on how I use pastels, so that's what we're going to be doing today. Now, when I went to the store to buy pastels, I had never used pastels before, so I really didn't know what I wanted. So I ended up getting the Faber-Castell's soft pastels because I had bought the generic brand of watercolor pencils and I wasn't too happy with those. The colors weren't vibrant enough and they just didn't pop out like I would have liked the colors to be. So I decided this time to spend a little extra and get the name brand. So I'm going to be showing you my approach to coloring with pastels. Now, I've seen on Mark Curley's videos that he just rubs them in with his finger, but I tried that and it doesn't feel too pleasant. So I really didn't like using that method. So I looked around and I saw other methods where people use tissues or even Q-tips to do it, but I found that the Q-tips and the Kleenex, they just pull too much of the color off the paper. So I had to come up with my own ideas. One idea that I tried was with just a regular ordinary paintbrush, and I find that this pushes the color around, doesn't lift the color off the paper. So this became my favorite way to do pastels, and I'll show you how I do it. I'm going to show you on her hair because this is my original character and she has bright pink hair. So I figure that's going to show in the video a lot better than doing like her skin or anything else. Now, when I go to put down the color, I first figure out where my light source is. And let's say that if the light is coming from above her head this way, then the shadows are going to fall on more the right side of her hair and right side of her face. So that's where I'm going to lay down my initial color. Now I'm just going to take and I'm going to put it directly on the paper. And this is not any kind of special paper, it's just sketchbook paper. It's not made for pastels or things like that, but I find it works pretty nice. Now I'm only applying the pastels in shadowed areas, like where I think the shadow will be, and I'll show you why after I've finished. So I'm going to do that and then I'll come back and explain. Okay, so now I laid down an initial layer of pastels in the shaded areas. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my paintbrush and I'm just going to start moving the pastel around, keeping it concentrated pretty much in the dark area, and then slowly pushing it out to where the color just kind of fades. It gets lighter as it goes out. So always start where you want your color to be the darkest and then bring it out to where it's going to be getting lighter and lighter. And you'll see that your shadows will stay there. And it's really fun. I enjoy it a lot and I try to come up with little new techniques and stuff that I can use. So always experiment and try new things. You never know, something might just work for you. This is what I found works for me. So I'm going to continue this all through her hair and come back with some more tips. So as you can see, I took all of the pastel that I put in the shading, and it was enough to color her whole head, even in the light areas. Because as you push the pastels around, they get lighter and lighter, and it just really blends, looks very pretty. And a way that you can help clean up some pastel is if you got a kneaded eraser. I just take and I can just pick up some color. Try not to like smear it in, just kind of lift it up. See it? I don't know if you can see that, but it's pink on the tip. And just clean it off so that you don't get it anywhere else. And you can just clean up any pastel that got out of line or that you want to lift because the color just wasn't right. Any kind of situation like that. Or you can also use a tissue and just kind of lightly push it back. But I prefer to use this because it just makes it cleaner. It picks up a lot more than the Kleenex. So a kneaded eraser is a very handy tool when it comes to doing any kind of art. So another thing about the brush is that if you use the same brush throughout your picture, you still have some pink in there. So you can either keep going with the pink to try to get it all out of the brush, like, you know, add it onto her little cheeks for some blush. In her mouth, because her mouth will be pink anyway, so why not try and get some more color out. Or I use the Kleenex and pick up any extra color that I might have on there before I switch to another color. And when I'm pretty confident that there's not going to be any more pink coming off onto the next color I use, then I go on to my next color. For layering colors, I like to do that for the eyes, and her eyes are brown, so I'm going to use the darkest color and just add some to the top of her eyes and on the sides just a little bit. Don't want to overdo it with the dark colors because they really take over. And then I'm going to take a lighter brown and I'm going to go right next to the dark, kind of give it a little bit more space, a little bit more edge than the previous color. And I'm going to take a even lighter brown, almost like a golden yellow color, and add some in there just for a little bit more light in her eyes to help lighten those browns because they're going to be pretty dark. Now when blending the colors, I like to start in the lightest point. I'm cleaning off my brush to make sure there's no more skin color. So I'm going to start probably with the big eye first, and going to work my way from this, start picking up some of the darker brown and working my way out into that, and then working my way to the darker brown. You get a really smooth transition. You can pull back any kind of dark you want if you want the dark to go farther, you can always pull it down. And always clean up your brush so you don't accidentally spread the dark. And I'm going to do the same with this eye. Start in the center with the light color, and then start gradually pulling it out to start mixing with the medium brown, and then working my way up to the dark. Just kind of blending and mixing them together. And that's how I do the pastels. And to clean up any excess pastel, just take and clean with your kneaded eraser. Make sure you clean it often when doing this, because if not, you're going to smear the pastels right in the area you're trying to clean. I don't recommend blowing your pastels off, because I'm kind of like afraid of breathing them in. I really don't think it's good for anybody, so I really don't just blow the pastels off. I'd rather just clean it out, like for the white in her eyes. Just gonna clean it out. You see, it works really well for that. As you remember to clean it up. Clean up your kneaded eraser, or at least find the clean spot. Okay, so I'm going to add the finishing touches and probably color her mouth and her clothes, and then that'll be it. Now for the finishing touches, I am using a white gouache, because I don't have a white pen, and I'm using a different brush than I was with the pastels. This one is what I use mostly when I use this, and I use it because I don't have a white gel pen, but it works really well. And you can even add, like, if you want a highlight in her hair to, you know, you can, it goes right over pretty much anything, so works really good on that kind of sense there. And I think we're just about done with this. Maybe add a few highlights over here. And I think I'm going to leave it at that. So I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial. I hope that you found it useful. And thanks for watching.